Very warm welcome and thanks for clicking on to the New Year's Day edition of Vogan's European Outlook for Monday the 1st of January 2024. It is a contrast across Europe of mild in the southwest versus rather cold in the northeast of the continent, where temperatures are knocking on the door of the first minus 40 of winter 2023-24 in parts of Scandinavia. So you can see here very, very mild conditions this evening across northwestern France, southern portions of the British Isles. We have got temperatures of 10, 11 Celsius, even 12 in the Isles of Scilly, versus sub-zero across the north of the UK. So even up here in Everton, just north of Inverness, we do have temperatures slightly below the freezing mark and rather icy actually when I glanced out the window this evening to see the pavements white and glistening. Has to be said that I haven't been out the door today. Rather lazy. It's a bit of a pajamas day, I think, and making the most of some relaxation time. But you can see here as we look to Sweden and Finland in particular, we do have a temperature at this particular location of minus 37.7 currently as of recording at 25 to 6 in the evening UK time. We do have a minus 35 in the portions of southern Finland as well. So this is the coldest of the season so far here, and it'll be interesting to see how cold it gets during the overnight period tonight. Now, the GFS model indicates that we do have temperatures close to minus 40 in parts of central North Sweden and Finland during the course of this is actually by 1500 UTC tomorrow, believe it or not. You can see widespread minus 20s and 30s over western Russia. Might even see some minus 30s in parts of eastern portions of the Baltic states during the course of tomorrow as well. So a rather cold note indeed. Looking at the UK as a close-up, you can see this evening's temperatures, like I say, sub-freezing across the north, down across the south coast. We've got 10, 11, even close to 12 Celsius. Southern portions of Ireland as well here. Sherkin Island at 11.6 Celsius currently, while on the north coast we've got at Ballypatrick Forest 4.9. The current temperature up in Altnahara minus 1.6 Celsius. Nearby station here at Tain Range minus 0.3. And I believe preliminary it's been the wettest year on record for Tain. Records go back to 1994 according to Dan Harris of the Met Office. So it'll be interesting to see some of the stats that come out from the Met Office in the next few days with regards to statistics. I always love statistics and see where we stand with regards to climatology. Arctic oscillation is going into the tank, but you can see it's going back towards neutral once again, which is a little bit of an interesting one. And the NAO as well, we're at neutral at the moment, expected to go down to minus 1 sigma below the zero line or neutral here. So we are seeing that negative NAO kicking in. And if we look at the GFS or the CFS, should I say, CFSV2 upcoming 7-day period, and you can see that we have got that negative NAO. So the block over the North Atlantic and Greenland here, we've got the suppressed jet further south. A weakening of the jet stream is expected as well. We'll look at the details in just a wee second here, but look at here as we move into week 2 that we are seeing that strengthening of the Greenland block showing up. Big negative centered over northeastern portions of Europe, so central Europe in particular will see a rather cold week 2. We've got some very cold air driving south over North America also here. And then as we skip on to week 3, which is the period, so this is week 2 is the 8th through the 15th. And remember what my January forecast says, that we will see an increasing cold pattern, I think anyway, and we'll watch and see what happens. December has played out quite well in my opinion, and it'll be interesting to see how January pans out. But for week 3, you can see here that we have got a bit of a negative to the west of the British Isles. That looks like quite a weak jet actually, but you've got the blocking extending from the Baffin Straits over Greenland, over Iceland, and into parts of Scandinavia and the heart of Europe here. It'll be interesting to see actually how that all pans out when all is said and done. It looks as if the MJO in an active phase now, rotating into phases 2 and 3. So we'll watch and see how the pattern responds to that in the coming days to come here. So let's have a look and see what the current models are indicating. We still have that low pressure dominance as we move through the course of this week and week 1 of January. We've got a system that moves in during the course of today, as you can see. And then we've got another feature, a deeper feature, in fact, at 969 millibars, so quite a potent deep centre of low pressure moving across southern Ireland here and into England and Wales in particular. Looks as if we've got a frontal system, an occluded front moving north over Scotland. We do get a bit of a gap as that boundary then moves up into the Northern Isles. But we've got a 967 millibar area of low pressure that essentially crosses the north of England here. On the southern flank, we've got some very strong winds, gales or severe gales, southern Ireland, southern Wales, southern England, northern France. That northwest corner of France has been just utterly battered in recent weeks here. One storm system after another. We've had record-breaking rainfall in this neck of the woods here. And it's going to be interesting to see, with this theory of increased rainfall ahead of cold, be interesting to see how the middle and second half of January pans out with regards to that. Because we did see a very exceptional wet period during October, during the first half of November. Then we've seen a cold spell in November, into early December. Then we've recently seen another very, very wet spell. Now, December started off, the first week or so was rather dry here in the north of Scotland, but it's actually wound up being the second wettest month of the entire year. My site in particular ended up with just over 170 millimeters of rainfall during the second half of December, and it'll be interesting nonetheless to see how the month of January pans out. Remember, I've got a slightly colder than average and drier than average January forecasted, and it'll be interesting to see whether that actually takes place or not. But we've got that system moving into the North Sea by the time we reach the early hours of Wednesday morning, the 3rd of January. As you can see, a very messy picture with low pressure dominating the pattern. So we have the continuation of this unsettled theme through the week 1 of January, and it's just been continuously unsettled for quite some time. But you notice here something changes as we move towards the upcoming weekend. We do have higher pressure starting to develop, and with higher pressure to the west of the UK and Ireland, we're picking up a bit of a northeasterly component to the wind. So if we look at the 850 temperature chart here, you can see that we have got colder air drifting in from the north. And I did say in the forecast that towards the end of week 1 into early week 2 of January, that's when I would expect to see the colder pattern becoming more prevalent. And as we play through this loop, you can see here this continuation of battle between warm and cold. But nonetheless, we've got an area of high pressure. This is, remember, the latest GFS operational model. So there's a lot of chopping and changing, a lot of variety in the overall output. But this current run indicates that we have got high pressure over the north, milder, very milder in fact, running up the western side of that high, up into the Norwegian Sea, up in towards the subarctic region. And then we've got the cold air over western Russia, Scandinavia, Eastern Europe, trying to run underneath that area of high pressure over the northern UK into England and Wales. So that could suggest a rather cold setup as we move through the upcoming weekend and into early portions of next week. We'll watch this space. We'll wait and see what happens. And I'm very curious to see how this all materializes. But as warmer getting lifted around the west northern flank of that high, we've then got colder over northeastern Europe, trying to then drift underneath the high towards the UK here. So that is going to be a very interesting setup as we go through the next week to 10 days. And as we continue to play through this loop, you can see that high kind of just becomes anchored over the UK with colder running underneath. This is a drier theme and a colder theme as we head towards the 10th of January here. Let's have a look and see what the ECMWF is actually showing here for a similar time frame. So we'll go back to the here now, continue with this Atlantic dominance, one system after another moving through, heavy rainfall followed by shower activity, gusty winds, possible disruption, more flooding is going to be a problem here as we move through the course of this week. Then, as the GFS suggests, that we see a relaxation of the pattern as we move into the weekend. That high drifts down from the north, and we're introducing colder air. So notice here at the centre of the high over western Scotland, and you've got a northeasterly wind here on that right flank of the high, and that is introducing colder air from Scandinavia here. Notice here we've got a rather deep and messy area of low pressure over Italy and southern Europe here. Very heavy snowfall breaking out on the northern flank, where the cold is meeting milder conditions from the south. So heavy snowfall across the Alps, possibly northern Spain, the Pyrenees, the Alpine region of France, in through Austria, Switzerland, and then eastwards here, southern and central portions of Poland, Germany, Slovakia, Slovenia, Hungary may see some fairly heavy snowfall breaking out on the northern flank of this low pressure system. And then as we continue to play through, you can see here that that area of high pressure remains quite anchored. Notice one subtle difference between the DCM and the GFS. That high is slightly further west and would potentially open more of a door to colder air moving in from the continent here. If we look at the 850 temperature chart for the same time frame, so this is Monday the 8th of January, long way out. This is a week away, of course, but notice here that the 850 temperatures are rather bitter. So that certainly would be a cold one. Let's have a look and see what the snow depth chart is, because I don't expect it to be much snow with this drier theme. But notice Scandinavia, notice Europe, and even parts of the UK. Now, if we get a bit of an east to northeasterly wind blowing over the relatively warm waters of the North Sea, we might get some convective snow shower activity in the eastern areas of Scotland and England. Drier, less snow threat, further west here. So I'm very, very optimistic that we have got a colder theme developing towards this weekend and into next week here. So let's continue to watch this space as we go forward. I'm going to end the video now. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. If you haven't already done so, I would greatly appreciate your support. I would like to wish you a very happy new year and all the best for 2024. I hope it brings each and every one of you health and happiness. And really in life, that is all we can ask for, in my opinion. So enjoy the rest of your evening, enjoy the rest of your New Year's Day, and I'll see you again with more come tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.